or larger than what is medically safe set out on a weight loss program, the weight comes off in rehab.
Yeah. That's all up to you, and depends on how hard you work and improve to where.
You don't have to turn around and be a smart ass about it like that.
All right. Isolate themselves and avoid life.
Well, I guess I better get up and find something to do outside.
I have made myself a prisoner in a room inside of my home.
I could be upset and I eat my food and it'll soothe my pain. Get up, help. I gotta pee.
Thyroid problem, arthritis, and the list goes on. And it also says you're not.
Oh, man.
You need to take this seriously. If we don't get your weight down, you're going to. But so far, I'm pleased with your progress, so keep working on it, and let's see what.
Angela Johns.
I have made myself a prisoner in a room inside of my home. The life I'm living right now is miserable. I used to leave the house maybe once a week. It's becoming harder to walk. I don't want my husband, Justin, to help me because I don't want him to cross over from being my husband to my caregiver.
Season 7 of My 600-Pound Life brought longtime viewers of the show one of the most controversial stars in its history, Angela Johns. Like others on the show, Johns has a tragic backstory involving physical hurt, non-consensual misconduct, drug addiction, and even prison time. As a result of her multiple traumas, Johns turned to food for comfort, eventually weighing in at 643 pounds by the time she sought Dr. Now's help.
Angie.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Hey, Angie, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
You came a long way from being over 600 pounds to almost half of what you weigh now, huh?
Yeah, I've been walking. I don't use a wheelchair no more or nothing.
But not only was Johns downright combative with Dr. Now during her episode, she claimed he was punishing her and said his program was bull. She also tested positive for opiate use and heavy cigarette smoking, but lied to Dr. Now about it. On top of that, she was manipulative to her family members. After losing only 48 pounds and continuing to abuse drugs, Dr. Now gave her an ultimatum: go to rehab or end her weight loss journey with him. Still delusioned, Johns didn't go to rehab, and she claimed Dr. Now was lying about everything. Johns then set up a GoFundMe to help with her expenses, despite her non-compliance on the show. That's some guts. Sheenie Murray. When viewers first met Sheenie Murray on My 600-Pound Life, she was deeply sad about suffering through 2 miscarriages, which is totally understandable.
I'm hungry. I need food immediately. God is gonna take me as far as he want me to. Fried shrimp is one of my favorite foods. I have cravings about 3-4 times a week. I feel like since my body is bigger, that I have to eat more than others.
That experience can be extremely traumatic to not just the person who endures one, but her partner as well. Given that she was also physically misconducted by a cousin when she was very young, it's no wonder that she turned to food for comfort. But there was hope, as Murray went to Dr. Now to help her get both her life and her weight back under control. But alas, she was unwilling and unable to stop compulsively eating.
And at this rate, it's feasible for you to end up getting to 1,000 pounds within the next 5 years. So if you can't get around a little, are you getting your own food or go to the kitchen? You eat whatever, whenever. We are going to eat only 3 times a day, no snacking in between. And you're going to have only protein, no carb.
Despite her claims of gaining water weight, something Dr. Now pointed out was clearly not the case. Murray was never approved for her weight loss surgery. She continued to eat foods that were not on Dr. Now's program, including a famously illicit pizza, and never dealt with her underlying emotional issues. Despite leaving Dr. Now's care, Murray set up a GoFundMe for her weight loss surgery. She later filmed herself doing an eating challenge from her hospital bed. Oof, Lisa Fleming. Lisa Fleming had only been 49 years old, and she had become completely bedbound due to the enormous amount of weight hanging on her body. Her daughter and grandson waited on her hand and foot and had become her primary caregivers. Despite her lack of mobility and the enormous toll her weight had taken on her body, Kelly was not done worshipping at the altar of the food gods. She had had a loving childhood and was brought up under the indulgent eye of her father, who called her his princess. It was her dysfunctional relationship with her mother which set her on a path of self-destruction by forming a toxic relationship with food. Her parents' divorce at the age of 9 was a tragedy of epic proportions, which took its toll on Kelly's psyche silently and pushed her toward eating more to forget her pain. By age 19, she was a mother to 3 children and jumping from relationship to relationship. Working in the fast food industry gave her easy access to fried delicacies, and she indulged her food fantasies to her heart's content. Kelly eventually ended up at Dr. Now Zaradan's clinic, who admitted her promptly to hospital to make sure that she started losing weight immediately, a news not welcomed by her.
This leg really bothers me.
Yeah, see all that lymphedema, and we're going to do a quick weight check on you.
Yes, sir.
That's very high. You thought you were at 642 when we talked. I sent you. You should have easily been able to lose good amount of weight. Lost weight, and you're significantly overweight.
Okay, all I want to do is get cleaned up.
Your test come back okay today. You're gonna have to lose this weight because you're in a very dangerous situation right now. Admitting you to the hospital to start you on a 1,200 calorie controlled diet immediately. Die soon.
Oh, goodness.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well,
She was discharged in her daughter's care, where she received physical therapy as well as the instructions of a dietitian, who made a house call. But it became clear quite quickly that Kelly knew that she was flirting with certain death. She was not willing to make changes, and the effort required to bring her back into the fold of the living. Dr. Now eventually sent Dr. Lola Clay to Kelly's house to use her psychotherapist wiles to convince her to get on with the program. Kelly's problem was a conundrum only in her own mind.
Process. So, at what point in time did
When it got out of hand for me was on the day my mom died.
Before we dive into that, how old were you when you became a mom?
15. Fix it.
Do you have siblings?
One older brother.
I'm sorry about that. How did your family change when your brother was killed?
He would have been at home if he didn't want to be at your house. It holds a lot.
Your mom's not present to blame you for things anymore. It sounds as if you've begun over a lot of the things that have happened in your life. But by being blamed for that, definitely. So since being under the doctor's care, are you...
She had a supportive family system, giving her all the help she needed, and the best of the best in the medical profession, providing her medical services, and trying to convince her to lose weight. But she was the one who was not willing to let go of the only source of comfort in her life, refusing to see what was right beneath her nose and the writing on the wall combined. She was refusing to replace the comfort she got from food with the oodles of human comfort available to her 24/7. Dr. Now was eventually done with her and sent her home packing, since she was not willing to meet him halfway in her weight loss endeavors. She was able to have the gastric bypass surgery, but developed complications following the surgery, due to which she passed away at the age of 50. Number 3, James King. Some patients on My 600-Pound Life are so far gone they're almost completely immobile, unable to care for themselves, and confined to their bed because of their weight. That was the case for James King, who weighed in at 791 pounds at the beginning of his episode, as he used food to cope with his childhood trauma. But it's hard to have too much sympathy for King, as throughout the episode it's shown that he behaved selfishly. For one, he had his daughter drop out of school so she could take care of him. And his father, despite the fact that he suffered a stroke, took out a second mortgage to finance his son's journey to Houston. But King refused to change. He was continually enabled by his girlfriend Lisa, who couldn't stop bringing him food. It was so bad that Dr. Now called Adult Protective Services on her when he found out she brought food to him in the hospital in his follow-up episode.
Okay, then where's the swelling coming from?
Well, what I think he's trying to say is I've been measuring it at home and he's not peeing out as much as he's drinking.
You think it is because you drank a lot of liquids, but in reality, you're gaining a lot of weight again, and that's the problem. And you think it's all of this fluid, there's no fat in here?
This is what I've noticed recently.
And you two are delusional. If you think that you can give me the same story again, your leg is swollen because you gained a lot of weight. So it's getting bigger and worse.
She ain't giving me no food.
I couldn't
and
tell
the only
you
thing I'm
what-
eating is what she's bringing me.
You don't think your weight has to do anything with your eating habit?
No, I don't.
What do you think your weight come from, thin air? If she doesn't come visit you for 5 days and get your weight down
It
50
ain't got nothing to do with her.
If she stays away for 5 days, we'll have you lose 20 to 30 pounds.
I'm not going to bring him food. The last time he was in the hospital,
All right,
sir,
you
I
gonna
swear to
let
God,
me
I
help
did
him?
not bring him no food.
You just want to blame it on her.
No, both of you. Is that a deal?
No. She's my wife. I've been with her 25 years.
At this point, there is nothing more we can do for James unless he and Lisa start to cooperate with the program. As long as James wants the food, that this is not a situation that they can intervene in. It's a drug, and it's killing James just like any other drug.
Even though King had multiple organs failing him. King has since passed away. James L.B. Bonner. James was a 30-year-old amputee who had two major problems he had to contend with each and every moment of his life. Not only was he missing one limb from his body, his enormous weight was putting a huge amount of pressure on his remaining leg, putting it in immediate danger. His mobility was severely curtailed under the load of these twin problems, and he's become dependent on his parents for living.
LB,
What?
come on ride to the grocery store with me.
I do everything for LB because he's my baby. He's my youngest, and
Dragging my life down to where I'm at now. I'm almost 30 years old living in my parents' garage. Barely doing anything leaves me breathing like I just got done running a 5K.
His parents' love for him and their concern over his self-imposed isolation made them demand cooperation from him, and they tried to push him to leave the premises of his house and start living again. Distressed by the early demise they could see quite clearly creeping up on their son, they were able to push him into seeking help from Dr. Now Zaradan. A few months down the road, and James has made immense progress by losing 109 pounds, and he was cleared for weight loss surgery by Dr. Now. 11 months later, James had achieved a further weight loss of 162 pounds, bringing his weight down to 352 pounds.
So my whole outlook's changed. I know for sure I never want to be the person I used to be.
Good work, because you're doing great.
I will when it comes to food or alcohol again. I never want to fall back into that.
James has become a success story, and it had taken a lot of tears and sweat to get him to that point. He treated himself to the reward of driving down interstate to have a family get together with his loved ones, who had been waiting to see his face for a long time. He was eventually cleared to get a new prosthetic leg due to his enormous weight loss. James had been undergoing counselling under the loving care of Dr. Laura Clay, who had been guiding him through the dark passages of depression back to the light.
Now you can wrap your arms around him, can't you, D?
You look so good.
Right, D.
Well, we never even wallet then.
Give me a hug. I ain't seen
Wait
you
a
in while.
minute.
I've had to add 3 belt loops and
He had the immense support of his entire family, a professional medical setup, as well as his enormous fan base on social media. But apparently it wasn't enough, and he took his own life one day before his 30th birthday. James's lost battle resonated with the scores of people who fight their own demons on a daily basis and feel like giving up on life. Kelly Mason. Kelly Mason was 41 years old and living in Greensboro, North Carolina. Her weight was unknown, except it was quite clear to everyone that she was morbidly obese. Everyday living had become a nightmare for her, and the usual things that are no biggies to us presented an uphill battle at every turn to this young lady. It was obvious that her life had come to a standstill due to her food obsession, and she was struggling with the effects of the choices that she'd been making throughout the 41 years of her existence. Kelly's weight problem was a direct manifestation of a difficult childhood in trying to escape from the memories of her horrendous abuse, which had started at the tender age of 7 and had gone on for quite some time. Her beloved grandmother's passing soon after, and her mother's apathy to Kelly's plight when she found out about the abuse, disconnected her emotionally from the family members who should have protected her. This pushed her further into the toxic relationship she'd already established with food. Fast forward to adulthood, and Kelly was practically knocking at death's door when she realized that if she wanted to live a full life, she had to shed the weight of the monster hanging onto her body. She had made a painful journey all the way to Houston with her friend Leanne by her side. Dr. Now Zaradan broke the news to her that she was 726 pounds, and if she did not work hard to lose this weight, it was going to kill her in a very short period of time.
How was your trip down to Houston?
Very, very painful. I didn't think it was going to, but I didn't realize that like the experience through the airport was going to be like hard on my knees because I'm in pain.
Well, any amount of activity like that is bound to take a toll on you. That's almost breaking the record for the highest I have seen yet. So, and that's a situation that we have to turn around immediately.
Okay.
I can see from this high blood pressure, blood count in the leg, pulmonary embolism, and reflux.
Heart failure. So I was having really bad shortness of breath and swelling.
So that could immediately, because every day is a roll of the dice for you as to whether you will survive right now.
He had also admitted her to hospital to run some tests and make sure there was no immediate need for concern before she travelled back. It soon became apparent that Kelly was in dire straits and that her heart was giving out on her quite quickly. A medical intervention could only work if she experienced weight loss within a short time to give her heart some breathing space to work.
Great. Well, we finished running all our tests, and our biggest concern is your heart right now. So significantly right now. And we're going to also start you doing physical therapy every day to get your stamina. We're going to transfer you to a PT facility that will help to get your stamina up even more. Now, you're not going to survive much longer. And what we need to do to reduce the standing in her heart rate from out of weight and strengthening her heart will be enough to prevent Kelly's heart from giving out soon. But her heart giving out may be imminent at this point, but we'll do everything we can to give her the best chance.
Going into a rehabilitation centre to kick her food addiction was definitely a drastic step, but Kelly found ways to indulge the food monster, even within the strict environment of the centre, and at her next appointment, it seemed that she gained 36 pounds instead of losing 25 more. A further 2 months down the road, Kelly was able to not only lose weight, but she was able to rebuild her stamina under the professional guidance of the physical therapist. She was promptly sent home by Dr. Now to continue her weight loss regime within her own comfortable environment. Kelly eventually moved into her cousin Gary's house, where she shared close quarters with his wife and his daughter. In the months leading up to the gastric bypass surgery, she'd eventually brought her weight down to below 500 pounds, which was a victory in itself. Her gastric bypass surgery was a success, and she was slowly but surely turning her life around under the expert guidance of Dr. Now. Kelly's journey to recovery was promising all kinds of rewards to her, but sadly she passed away quietly in her sleep in the dead of night. Her heart gave out under the pressure of her massive size, and Kelly's victorious battle against her addiction came to an abrupt end. Even though her battle was an incomplete one, it is a source of inspiration for people who are in the same boat as her. Penny Sager. Penny Sager appeared on My 600 Pound Life in the earlier part of Season 2, rendering her one of the reality show's OGs.
When you become as heavy as I have, it's hard. Sometimes it feels like I'm dead. This is my bed, this is my bathroom, this is my dinner table. I might as well be a prisoner in jail. Addiction has become my life. Every time I had a problem, it's 1 pound, 2 pounds, 5 pounds. And I just kept going.
What do we say besides goodbye?
I don't know.
See you later.
And to come out and load her into that. After we get her out of her bed, I have to bring the mattress in and put in her bed.
All right. Okay. I do.
Just take your time.
Straight down.
You gotta pivot to get feet first, so however. All right, guys.
Yeah, I'm clenching my butt cheeks because that's the only thing holding that mat in place.
This is a journey of a family, of a child who wants his mother. You are the one who will lay out this journey safely for all of us.
But unlike her fellow co-stars that season, such as Zalyn Whitworth, Christina Phillips, and Paula Jones, Sager didn't comply with Dr. Now's diet and exercise plan. Although she did drop 40 pounds while hospitalized at the beginning of her episode, which qualified her for weight loss surgery, that was the only weight loss documented for Sager. In fact, by the end of her episode, she managed to gain weight after surgery, which is pretty mind-blowing.
I'm starting to be very uncomfortable without the oxygen.
Okay. Seems like she played a role of being a victim and encouraging family to be enabler. So you're missing your roles?
I'm absolutely missing a role.
I'm gonna see how the thing will go with the first operation.
She'll be okay.
She'll be okay, bud. You gotta think positive. That's why we pray.
The operation we're gonna do today is called sleeve gastrectomy. She's having so much challenge with weight loss.
But do you have any plan to walk? No? There is true miracles in the world.
I'm very concerned about Penny's behavior. She's not losing weight anymore. Penny must have somebody stinking her food. She figured out how to manipulate the system.
Things weren't much better in a follow-up episode, in which Sager claimed she was doing much better and seeing improvements in her health. Of course, Dr. Now didn't agree with that assessment, and matter-of-factly explained that Sager is addicted to food and is delusional about any imagined progress. As for where Sager is now, that's anyone's guess. Reports suggest she keeps a low social media profile and that any photos they procured do not show much difference. We hope she finds a way to get healthy in the future. Mercedes Cephas. Of all of the stars on My 600 Pound Life, Mercedes Cephas' story is among the most heartbreaking.
I've gotten so big that it's hard to do just about anything. I can't believe what I've let my life become. And every day, it gets worse. But I have 2 young kids that I have to take care of.
When she was only 11 years old, her father began physically misconducting her, which caused her to have feelings of shame, guilt, and sadness. By the time she was 15 years old, she was up to 300 pounds and using food to help her deal with the trauma of her past attacks. Obviously, this had a huge impact on her life.
That was the age when my father started sex. And it wasn't just me, it was my sisters too. It started with touching, and then it was more. All of it down. And I doubled in weight by the time I was 13 and was over 200 pounds by then. Because one of the people who's supposed to protect you most is the one hurting you.
But when confronted about her eating habits by Dr. Now, Cephas insisted that she wasn't overeating. She said she just wasn't eating the right foods, even at 773 pounds. And when she finally did move to Houston months later, she'd only dropped just under 50 pounds. Subsequently, she gained weight, showing she clearly was not following Dr. Now's program. And by the end of her episode, after she'd only lost around 80 pounds altogether, Dr. Now was adamant that she be admitted into the hospital, giving her 3 days to decide. LaShanta White. Everything changed for LaShanta White when she was 13 years old, as she had gotten pregnant and was going to be a mother despite her young age.
I could be upset and I eat my food and it'll soothe my pain. Help. I gotta pee. I hate what my life has become because I'm living in constant misery now. And with all this weight on me, my whole body feel like it's constantly crushed. My weight has gotten so out of control. It's taken almost everything from me.
That, on top of the trauma of her parents' divorce and hurtful ex-boyfriends, caused her to seek solace in food, which is what caused her to weigh in at almost 700 pounds at the beginning of her episode of My 600 Pound Life. While that is not an atypical story for the people who star on My 600 Pound Life, White's episode left viewers reeling for a variety of reasons. Additionally, White had a combative attitude towards Dr. Now, and at one point, she hid fried chicken to avoid being caught eating it. That, on top of her manipulative ways, earned her recognition as one of the most controversial stars of My 600 Pound Life. But not all was lost at the end of White's episode, as Dr. Now approved her conditionally for weight loss surgery, providing she stood up on her own 2 feet. That's all for this video, folks. See you another time.